headlines from the news of the day. U.S. bombers with the RAF hot on the heels of the routed Nazi Africa Corps, blasting the daylights out of Rommel's desert supply bases. Our camera plane has a narrow escape, its glass splintered by machine gun fire, but the Nazi fighter goes to blazing death, a victim of Yankee gunnery. On the ground, through famed Hellfire Pass, the headlong pursuit of Britain's victorious Eighth Army is slowed by torrential rains that make a quagmire of the desert. But they're a long way from stalled, and the artillery hammers relentlessly day and night. With fast-moving advance columns of American-built M3s goes General Montgomery. Wearing a tank corps beret, the Irish deacon's son directs the chase, past Tobruk and Benghazi and on toward El Agheila, sledgehammering the foe without let-up. The infantry, desert-bitten veterans of many a fight with their backs to the wall, now write a chapter that history may well record as the turning point of this war, racing on the heels of the enemy. Miles from El Alamein, their starting point, the British pursued demoralized Axis armies. Longest sustained advance in military history, smashing 70% of the enemy's mechanized equipment in its tracks. Nazi warplanes knocked out on the ground. They never even got a chance to assemble these. Look at this spectacle. Acres of prisoners, dazed by the ferocity of Montgomery's attack, give up without a struggle. Among them, Nazi flyers fresh from the Russian front, who never got off the desert sands, and 9 Italian generals that brought in entire divisions. Richest prize, Nazi General Ritter von Thoma, commander of the Africa Corps, seized in his armored car by a British hussar. Arriving at headquarters, Rommel's second-in-command finds Montgomery a generous captor. Ever westward surge the British. Down comes the swastika, as Rommel falls back toward Tripoli. Once again, victorious over Libya, flies the Union Jack. Today, we are making as many combat weapons, tanks, planes, guns, ships, as the entire Axis. Today, the United Nations together are turning out twice as many weapons as the enemy. But we cannot win a war simply by equaling or even outproducing our enemies. We must have a smashing superiority and keep it that way to the end. So I give you this solemn thought. The cost of keeping our freedom will be measured not in money, not in time, not in production, but in American lives. Keep this thought burning in your minds and hearts, that countless lives and untold suffering will be saved if extra effort at home brings victory just 1 month closer.
51st is fashion's keynote for women doing war work. Sweaters are out, too easily ignited and aptly distracting. A steel helmet may hide many a beauty, but it's better to be safe than sorry. For protecting flowing locks from machinery, there's a combination hat and hairnet. Designed for the nation's 50,000 women shipyard workers, they're recommended for any industry. Shoes with steel toe caps are built to withstand a 1,300-pound shock. They might be good for dancing at that. Yes, the trend is definitely toward taking the glamour from the gals and putting it in the job. Miss America 1943 is really dressed to help win the war. Women's Day in the land down under. Red Letter Day for Australia's women in uniform, led by United States Army nurses. Those Yankee sisters of ours and their Anzac comrades are doing us proud. All Sydney cheers the Petticoat Army on parade. Even the Army's biggest ambulances are driven by our so-called weaker sex. The women of Australia are backing up their fighting men.
Forward from Kokoda, feeding their way along treacherous jungle trails. Advance units of MacArthur's Americans with jeep-towed big guns move toward Buna and Gona. Up to jet beachheads at the toe of New Guinea, the Yanks push their way, then open up on enemy positions. Nipponese planes from the Japanese at Naval bombard American small boats in the Cove and score a direct hit. Our bombers have repaid this loss many times over. Out of the Buna jungle, native bearers bring wounded Yanks. The fighting on this front is grim. Jap strongholds have been taken only at the cost of sweat and blood. Somewhere out in the Pacific, Jap destroyer patrols run afoul of an American cruiser, and the Nips get theirs, but late. Under withering fire, 2 enemy ships are sent to the bottom, and U.S. rescue boats go to pick up survivors. Contrary to propaganda, those Nips like to live the same as anybody else. Not a suicide in a boatload. The fightingest ship in Uncle Sam's Navy. Proudly wearing her wounds from the Battle of the Solomons, the cruiser San Francisco comes home. From the bridge of this ship were uttered those fighting last words of Admiral Callahan. We want the big ones first. And the San Francisco got 3 of the biggest. Yes, they've earned their homecoming. San Francisco made history challenging superior enemy craft at point-blank range in a night battle. To 31-year-old Commander Bruce McCandless goes the Congressional Medal of Honor presented by Admiral King. When Admiral Callahan was killed, he took over and fought those Japs to a finish. He's ready to repeat.
We realize that there's a great deal of unfinished business to be done in the Pacific, and it won't be long before we're back out there tending to some of that.
Men to keep America's ships a-sailing. 10,000 strong, they line up as a great maritime service training station is dedicated. This, the world's largest, will train some 30,000 seamen a year, ready to stake their lives against Axis U-boats and all the perils of the sea. Men who fight side by side with the Army and the Navy to deliver the goods for Uncle Sam.